Let's get the latest now on the Optus scandal. With me is the Liberal Senator Sarah Henderson. Thanks very much for your time. Where are things at, do you think, when it comes to the government's response? They've said it's not good enough, what they've seen from Optus. They want transparency and an independent review. Is that enough, in your mind?
Well, in fact, the Minister, Annika Wells, looks like a deer in the spotlight. She's running away from transparency. What she's agreed to is an inquiry by the regulator, ACMA, and we are saying that is absolutely not good enough. And in fact, the regulator's actions are also at issue because they passed some new or recommended some new changes to improve the 000 network, but they're not coming into effect until November. So this is a real scandal. It's a scandal like we've never seen before. This is critical infrastructure. Kieran, people have died, and that's why we need, of course, the Shadow Minister has called for an independent inquiry, but I'm also rattling the cage. We need a Senate inquiry. We need to drag the Optus executives into the Parliament to make them accountable, along with the government and the regulator, and make sure that Australians can get a better service than they have at the
Parliament
moment.
is returning next week. You'll be pushing for that Senate inquiry.
So next week is estimate, so the Senate will be sitting the week after. So I'll be pushing for it the week after when we sit.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, interesting. Do you expect to have cross-party support on this?
I'm very much hoping so. I've had some positive discussions with some. I won't preempt those, but I think it makes a lot of sense. We played a very important role with the earlier outages which occurred in 2023 in terms of the Senate's role, but it is just not good enough what this government is doing. The lack of
separate
transparency.
to the ACMA inquiry or any other probe, you think a Senate inquiry should happen regardless?
The regulator conducting this inquiry is like putting Dracula in charge of the blood bank. It is just not good enough. And, for instance, we need to really take a look at some of the major changes that we expect to see with our telco providers. Can Optus even be trusted to provide a 000 service? And should it be allowed to have overseas call centres, which is, of course, an issue as well? Personally, I don't think our telecommunications carriers, when they are providing such a critical service, should be allowed to do that. But all of those issues and more need to be prosecuted transparently, and that's why, Kieran, a Senate inquiry is so important.
Do you believe this has rattled the Australians' faith in 000?
I do. Because this has happened on a number of occasions, and for anyone who is an Optus customer, they have every right to say, can I rely on my phone in times of emergency?
I want to ask you, I know you've been at this other Senate hearing this week on an exemption that the big tech companies are seeking from Australian media companies, artists and so on, an intellectual property exemption for AI. Can you give us a sense of what's happening here and what are you calling on the government to do in terms of protecting the intellectual property of artists and others providing content?
Well, the big tech companies are stalking the halls of Parliament wanting a text and mining data exemption so that basically they can take big chunks of the copyright, whether you're a musician or an artist or an author, of belonging to Australian creatives, load it into their AI machines and basically steal it. They want to legalise the theft of this copyright material. I have called on the government to unequivocally state that this will not happen. And yesterday...
Because we have appropriate copyright laws
we have very good
that work now.
That's right. We have very good copyright laws which allow artists and creatives, musicians, authors, to licence their works. But, of course, the big tech companies want to steal that work, and the Productivity Commission has not helped. Effectively, it handed down an interim report waving the white flag, and we need greater assurances from the government that this is not going to happen.
Senator Henderson, thank you as always. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Kieran.